So one of the most interesting things when it comes to drama related topics is video games and whatnot, especially when it comes to like the indie game developments and whatnot, where one person gets successful over making one game in which it leads to self entitlement and resorting to the shit flinging online. I popped up this one game called Class of '09 on the Steam store page, in which I read out the description and, so on and so forth. But let's look at the trailer and see how that gun goes. So it is an anime trailer after all.
I think cam girls do a little more than we did.
But at least they get paid. We had to flirt with that weirdo for free.
No, we lost a bet. That's not free, it's just hoeing pro bono.
Why would you put up flirting with Jeffrey in the first place?
Oh, so you thought she could steal that hot dog roller?
No, but just that whole class yesterday. Wow, Jeffrey, your Naruto drawings are so good. Ew.
That wasn't even.
Right. So from the looks of it, it looks like it could be made into like some sort of anime adaptation, but in game and whatnot, it has a little bit of a visual novel, like, 2000s aesthetic when it comes to like, the school stereotype. So I can at least read the little bit of a mini description right here. This is the anti-visual novel. Instead of playing as some guy magically able to score with beautiful anime girls, you play the anime girl and create the mass chaos in the lives of your potential suitors. Earnest comedy, social accuracy, and late 2000s aesthetic await you in the Class of '09. Now, when I read that, mini description out loud while I was in a VC and with some Grand Blue Fantasy guildmates on Discord, one of my friends who I won't mention thinks that the video game developer for Class of '09 is a pretentious douchebag and compared him to Phil Fish, which is pretty interesting. It is a bit of an interesting theory to put it that way, but I'm not sure if it turns out to be true and whatnot. But it is pretty interesting. Now, I found this video clip, which is a 5 minutes, which says Phil Fish Japanese games just suck. So it might be a very interesting comparison in a way. I think one of my IRLs in which I showed the video to, I showed a 5 minute clip, and he thinks that when Phil Fish made that statement, he thinks that he is racist. But I'm not really sure. I haven't watched this clip in a long while. I think that clip was around I think when that happened, it was around like 2014, 2015-ish, whatnot. But let's see.
Thank you for excellent movies. And I'm a freelance game programmer. And in this movie, you were inspired from Super Mario and Metroid and Rockman. I am so proud of it, and as a Japanese. And my question is, what could you tell me what kind of about recently Japanese? What do you think about the recently Japanese game?
Is it what is about Japanese games that inspired us?
Recent.
Recent
I'm
Japanese
sorry.
games.
They suck. I'm sorry. Like, you guys need to get with the times and make better interfaces and like update your technology. We're totally kicking your ass. Back then, you guys were the king of the world, but your time has passed. I'm so sorry.
Did you look at his face? Look at what you did, Phil.
I have a more specific game design comment that is
So hateful.
Swoop in and be constructive.
no. This is well. I mean, I don't like Japanese games either. The thing that I don't like about them, all the modern ones that I've played, except like Dark Souls and Demon Souls and stuff, is you sit down and the game treats you like an idiot, right? Like you have to click through like 700 little boxes telling you how to do everything. There's this idea. So Western game designers, and I'm only familiar with the game design dialogue in the West, but old school games like adventure games had all this random stuff where you had to read the designer's mind, right? And at some point we understood, things have to kind of make sense for the.
Right. So Phil Fish said Japanese games suck, although according to wording, I'm pretty sure. So my IRL friend, who I'm not going to mention, which me and him get along with each other. He said that Phil Fish was racist, but he only said Japanese games just suck. See, here's the thing though. I'm watching this video from like really old. This is from like 2014, 2015-ish. If it came around at that time, I would have been like, hey, Phil Fish and people that associate with him are, subhuman demons or whatnot. I don't know. Like, it's like, what did they wanted to get out of me? See, this is what I don't understand about when it comes to video games like that. I feel like a lot of people don't understand that Japanese games are subjective in the matter. And, people like Vosh thinks like, well, Phil Fish wasn't wrong. And, the Japanese games just sucks applies to like gotcha games or not. And I was like, okay, then how does this, I don't know how that even correlates because there are JRPGs. I feel like there are more than just that because I'm pretty sure there are also some platforms and whatnot too. So it really makes sense. I guess the correlation kind of, is pretty understandable because I'm pretty sure this guy who made Class of '09 made this because he thinks, Japanese visual novels suck. Maybe my friend on Discord may be correct, but it has not been confirmed. I've heard some like controversy about this guy where he's like, oh, he's like a pretentious douchebag, and then various social media websites that people are on there, love that have like a political affiliation, loves to stir shit up. But if anything, with this kind of video game theory in mind, it is an interesting similarity where this guy who is the developer of Class of '09 is the new Phil Fish. Anyway, you can just watch the clip additional more.
Player to expect to get through them, right? So we have to train people on our game mechanics, and then the rest of the game can be expanded out from that initial training, right? I feel like Japanese games take that too far, and Japanese games feel like it's illegal to ever let the player do anything that has not explicitly been shown to the player in painstaking detail earlier in the game. And what that does is it kills the joy of discovery. And that's the thing that I really value about games, is when you figure something out that you haven't been shown, right? And when you show the player everything, you're turning it into an exercise, and it's an exercise that's kind of insulting, because of course I can follow the exercise, you told me what to do, right? And then they make me click through so much bad dialogue. I mean, Western game dialogue is terrible also, but at least we hit spacebar and we can like skip the whole cutscene or whatever. But when they come in and make you hit A, yeah. Okay, cutting it off there. But a more
nice
politic way of saying what Phil was saying.
I mean, I think everybody would like to go back to games that you just pop in and you start playing and it's an adventure, like how, I mean, that's all of my childhood memories.
I think that Zelda games should just start with a prompt that says, "Have you played a Zelda game since 1996?" And then you can skip the first 45 minutes to 2 or 3 hours.
Now, of course, before this goes up on blogs.
Yeah, these guys are fucking clowns. I'm pretty sure people are gonna ask me like who the fuck Phil Fish is, and I'm pretty sure anyone can just look him up and know that he made like an indie game that's called Fez, which is like a platformer puzzle game. And I already know who Jonathan Blow is, in which he made a puzzle game called Braid, in which it copies often, a little bit of like, jumping on enemies, which is like similar to Super Mario and whatnot. It's interesting how like we look at this clip from like 2014, 2015-ish, and then fast forward to now. It is interesting how video game discourse comes from like this whole like, the culture war, the whole like Japanese games is better and whatnot. But what I do believe within the ideology when it comes to video gaming is that, why couldn't we play games for fun, And
stuff, right? There are exceptions, right? There are Japanese games that are different from that. But the trend, just like the trend in America is like, soldier looking down a gun sight, shooting dudes. It's the same feeling.
Street Fighter 4.
Yeah, Street Fighter 4 is pretty good. Yeah. But I think the Zelda comparison is really good. If you look at the first Zelda and the latest Zelda, the first Zelda it just drops you into that world, and it's a completely open, non-linear world, and it's dangerous and it's hard, and you have to like learn from your mistakes and figure things out. And there are these secrets, and the secrets are not obvious at all, which makes them secret and interesting. And then you play the latest Zelda, and it's the most like, it's just a straight corridor. It's just holding your hand the whole time. All the secrets have like an arrow pointing at them. It's just like, you can break this wall with a bomb because there's a little crack, and there's like, all the surprise and magic and like danger and mystery is just gone completely because of this obsession with like tutorials and making sure that the player knows about everything. Like it kills it for me.
But what's awesome about that is it's
So it's the argument of like, the preference of old video games versus, the new video games that came out just now, where like, and don't get me wrong, I had played old video games before. Like you can tell that I've been uploading, Fallout 2 videos and whatnot. And sometimes like, but here's the thing about, old video games like that. It's the argument of video games that don't have tutorial versus video games that have basic tutorial and whatnot. And I played Fallout 2 so many times in which I kind of know what to do, but if it's something that I get a little bit stuck on, then I have to look up at a guide. If I was playing around video games around the time in which is like, the late 90s and whatnot, yeah, I could sort of make sense, but it's Phil Fish and, the whole entire group and whatnot, it's still snooty and off-putting.
really easy to convince yourself that that's good game design, right? Like, of course we have to put an indication.
You have to clearly communicate things to the player.
It's like you have to communicate affordances, right? So therefore, all the blow-upable walls have cracks on them, right? And it's just, being logical about game design is too easy to take too far, and then you have nothing. You have a joyless husk, right?
Yeah. A joyless husk.
Yeah, let's just leave it a joyless husk.
Japanese games are a joyless husk.
So I'm gonna say, if you're not in line right now for a question, just stay seated because I'm gonna try to plow.
Fucking ridiculous. All right, so it's been over like 10 minutes. I want you to people to think about this. And do you think the developer who made this fucking quote unquote anti-visual novel could be the new Phil Fish and whatnot, or is it just blown hyperbole? I don't know.